Hey, community. Here's what's brewing today.
Ask your aunties how to heal a broken heart.
Ask your aunties, Dickmatized.
And ask your aunties, morning versus evening sex. So get your cups ready for MinoriTea Report.
Hey,
Hey, how y'all doing? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
It's my birthday tomorrow.
Ow.
Come on, Auntie Hennessy.
Yes.
Turned up all
And
week.
I guess happy belated birthday by the time this airs.
True.
You would have partied
true.
already. So January's what? What sign is that?
Capricorn.
Capricorn.
You look
season's here.
the best to start and end the year with.
These
Okay.
fiery, feisty signs. I swear.
Can give you these hands in a minute.
Look, I'm an earth sign. Capricorns are earth signs.
Mhm.
So we are very logical, mellow people, and then
Kindling.
I'm a
They
planner.
done lied on that definition.
Yes.
I mean, look, I can be an earthquake at the same time. Okay, I didn't say look.
There we go.
I will cause some ruckus.
Shake the ground.
And we don't want her to change for nothing. That's why we love
All right.
her. Well, community, hopefully you're having a great new year. We're still on our vacay, but last week we gave you our favorite segments of 2019, or some of our favorite, because we had a lot of them, but we had to narrow down. But now we want to give you a couple, or more than a couple. What is it? A few? Is 3 few?
A few. Mm-hmm.
Okay, there we go. A few of our favorite Ask Your Auntie segments.
Yes.
And we've had some juicy ones. We've had ones that damn near broke up our relationships.
Ooh, you ain't lied. You ain't lied. Mhm.
But made it through to another year, 2020.
Yes.
And I guess I got the first one, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you got the first one, boo.
The one
What do you
picked-
remember?
Ooh, the one I picked was actually one of the first ones that we got a follow-up to as well. And it's the one where someone, I forget if we said this
No, we didn't
person's
say her
or not.
name. Mm-mm.
Anonymous.
Mm-mm. She was anonymous.
But she signed a lease with her boyfriend, and just listen to the segment and you'll see how that turned out. Every time we're gonna ask your aunties, we be getting into these deep conversations and emotions. And,
We do.
So what's
Yeah.
the question this week?
So this week's question is, what's the best way to get over a breakup you didn't see coming 2 months into a year-long lease?
Ooh.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's tough. That sounds more like a financial question to me.
Same here. I was about to say this. Screw the relationship.
My heart's breaking, but the real question is, how do I get out of this?
It's like, how
mess?
I get them coins to stay in my pocket.
I mean, my heart is on fire, but my pocketbook, I don't want to be paying
I know
with
that's
this
right.
person.
Oh, man.
I don't mean to make light of the situation. So the first question, which is getting over a breakup, the best advice that I can give is that it literally just takes time. No one can tell you how to feel. No one can tell you how to process what you're feeling. No one can restrict you from feeling the things that's hurting your heart. And what I would encourage you to do is allow yourself to feel those things, because oftentimes when you try to bury them away or try to avoid them, the universe has a way of bringing those situations back to you tenfold, and you end up having to face it in other ways. So, one of the things that, that's always been helpful for me if I've ever had a breakup, has definitely been to just allow myself to feel whatever the heck it is that I'm feeling, and try not to rush back into another relationship. Like, I know there's that saying, the best way to get over someone is to get under someone, but I don't.
I'm just saying.
But I don't know.
I like to learn the hard
thing.
way, okay?
Yeah, literally and figuratively.
But I think the big idea is take care of the emotional part of yourself. May is the month of mental health awareness, and oftentimes we avoid things that are difficult. And those things are the emotions that we're feeling, the thoughts that are running through our heads that are telling us all kinds of, crazy things. And I just want to let you know that it's okay to think those things. It's okay to feel those things. You don't have to allow them to consume you. Give yourself the license to be able to work through them, acknowledge them for what they are, and work through them in the way that works for you. And eventually, with time, you will overcome and you'll be in a place where you're ready for something different and something better.
Yeah, I agree.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, for me, I think the best thing to do to get over a relationship or a breakup is to focus on yourself, because you get used to receiving love from someone that it's very easy to feel like you're missing a part of yourself.
And that's the only way to feel validation or something.
Right,
yeah.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just part of just loving and being in a relationship is you got to be vulnerable. You kind of have to give a part of yourself to someone. So when you break up, you have to kind of get back to that, that balance of like being able to do both jobs, loving
Mm-hmm.
yourself and then again, loving yourself.
Literally and figuratively again.
Right, exactly. So I just, I just say get back to doing things that make you happy, that bring you joy, things that can't no one else take away from you, that you have control over. Like for me, it's like when I have a breakup, I go to the gym, I work out, like getting my body in shape and liking what I see in the mirror creates another sense of love for myself, because I was like, guess what? I don't need nobody, because look how good I look. And I just love on myself so much more. And at the same time, I guess I'll be making myself more presentable for the next person to come along. I guess at the same time, so
Come
two
on,
birds with
ladies
one
and guys,
stone.
you see it.
And then, like hanging out with families and friends, creating those memories, traveling. I mean, the last time I was single before I got into my last relationship, I called 2016 my single ladies tour. I did a whole year of just being single and just touring around the country, visiting friends.
What else were you touring?
Right. she was getting her fitness on.
I was,
That was
I had
her cardio for 2016.
I had a couple tour guides along the way.
She wasn't hiking, but she was working out of sweat.
Not a tour guide. Love it. Love it.
But then, I mean, like focusing on myself and there's something about focusing on yourself and just being happy. And you just all of a sudden start to have this aura about yourself that attracts people, because you're like, man, that person she is happy. She's loving herself. And people want to be around people who have those type of vibes. And the next thing you find yourself like actually want to date and people asking you out because you give this energy that's just so welcoming back too. So just focus on yourself, love yourself, and just, like Dewan said, take all the time you need. Don't rush.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I feel like there's always a lesson in there. We don't like to think there is when you're going through it, because sometimes you just want to feel like you're in your feelings and that's all you want to do. But there's always some kind of lesson that comes out of it that helps you grow for that next relationship.
Absolutely.
Knowing that what you want out of a relationship, what you don't want out of a relationship, maybe not to sign no lease with someone that maybe if it was a new relationship, just sometimes they're going to be hard lessons that you got to learn, but also look for that lesson, but also take time for yourself, like the guys were saying, because a lot of times it's so easy to need that validation and love from someone else. And if you continue to look for it outwardly, more times than not, the next relationship isn't going to work either, because you're not comfortable with your own self. So that's maybe what I've learned over time. But 2 months into a lease, that's hard. I would hopefully both of your names are on this lease, that if you do need to break it, both of you guys are financially liable for the breakup, the breaking of the lease. If not, if it's just your name on it, maybe that's the lesson you got to learn, that, damn, you got to figure out how to cough up some coins for the rest of the 10 months if it's a year lease, unfortunately. Or maybe go to the leasing office and explain the situation and see if they're willing to adjust or whatever it may be. I don't know, but that's a lot of times
if you're able to present, potential tenants, your landlords will allow you to exit out of the lease without
Right.
as something as financially
Yep.
challenging. So
So there's
have
a
a
couple
conversation
options.
have a conversation with your landlord or your leasing
Or reread through your lease to see if there's a
office.
clause in there. A lot of times there will be a clause in there that says,
Yeah.
I forget what it's called, like a cosign, or what is it called? I forget what it's called. But read through your lease and just see what's there. Hopefully, like I said, both of you guys signed the lease, so at least hopefully the burden is on both of you. Unfortunately, and take it as a lesson.
And if you guys aren't on this, if you guys are both on the lease and you guys end up breaking the lease, there's nothing wrong with having to stay on a friend's couch or a cousin's family member couch and move back in with your parents to get your
Yeah,
feet back.
get your coins.
That's the
Absolutely.
point of a
Yep.
support system. That is why you have loved ones. That is why you have people in your corner, So it is not weak to feel like you
No.
have to do that. It is human nature, and it is okay. That is why those people are there for, So
agree.
lean into those people, but just make sure that if you have those people and that's the best option for you, take it, because in this
Yes.
situation, you have to do for yourself, because it's not your ex's responsibility anymore to care
Nope.
about you. It is
Nope.
your responsibility to care about you. So you make sure you make those moves and those decisions for yourself.
Make your money move.
Right.
Yeah.
And one thing I want to piggyback on what Carell was saying about learning the lesson, I would suggest making sure that, and you guys you might not agree with me on this, but try not to get to a place of anger when it comes to your ex. And I say that just because that's extra energy that you could be focusing on yourself. And if you spend time trying to blame someone else, you forget how human you are as well, and the things that you could have possibly done better too. So
Because it takes two to tango.
Right, it does. And so if you can self-reflect, like Carell said, that's going to help you for your next relationship. And I can honestly say, as a person who I'm always trying to grow, I'm always trying to be the best version of myself, that I tend to self-reflect versus place blame. So that way, the next time I'm in a situation like this, I know what I bring to the table. Because if I can bring a whole spread to the table, guess what? He ain't leaving. He gonna catch the itis and he gonna be stuck. Okay, that's what I'm bringing to the table. So
Stay ready so you don't gotta be ready.
I think
Or get ready,
there's
I
also this idea that there is a bona fide grieving process.
Yeah.
Like you have to grieve the loss of the relationship in whatever way that works for you, and getting to a place of there's they say that there's 7 stages of grief, and you're ultimately getting to a place of acceptance. And acceptance is really this notion that I understand where this thing went wrong. I can now see the lessons for me, whatever those lessons are, and I'm running with it. I'm actioning towards it, and I'm making steps towards healing and moving on. And so hopefully, it's tough right now if you're in the throes of that grieving process, and it sounds like it that you're kind of blindsided a little bit by the breakup. And sometimes we are, best laid plans. Sometimes you can never expect what's going to come around the corner. So sometimes you are shocked at someone else's actions. Allow yourself to feel those feelings, work through those, acknowledge them. Don't be embarrassed for how you're feeling. And hopefully over time you'll get to a place of acceptance, and you can start, as Jarrell said, just start focusing on loving yourself, dating yourself, getting to create your new identity outside of the context of that relationship. And other things will come from it.
And play some Jasmine Sullivan's I Bust the Windows Out Your Car.
Hey,
some
if you need
Khalees, I
to.
Hate You So Much Right Now. Put on that Beyonce video where she beat up the cars and everything. I mean, do what you got to do. Sometimes you just got to put on some music and feel them feelings, but then move on.
And
don't do anything illegal.
Right.
And breakups happen. I mean, like people.
You're not the first one.
Yeah, they don't make it through engagements. People get divorced. I mean, things change and things do happen. It's unfortunate, but I mean, it's also just part of life, And someone who who's on their second engagement, like I never thought I would be here again after the first one, and there are other times I was in love with someone in a relationship and we broke up, and I thought the world was going to end, and I didn't think I was going to be able to find love again, and somehow it happened. I can't tell you the exact recipe, but I know that it happened. God blessed me and he allowed it to happen, and I just encourage you to have the same faith, and to focus on yourself and believe that you are worth love just like the rest of us.
Yeah, don't let it change that aspect of you. Like, you believed in love at least once before because you were in this relationship. So don't let that change that part of you, because it can be a beautiful thing. So, and not to get too sappy.
and quite frankly, this person exiting out of your life is opening the door for somebody even better to come through. So it might not feel like it right now, but the reality of it is that they weren't meant for you. And that's okay. And someone will come through the door that will make you forget all about the pain and the hurt and the heartbreak and all of these negative things that you're feeling right now, because it'll be an even better match for you.
Oh, girl, and it's about to be summertime, so everybody's about to be out fine, thick, with barely any clothes on. Bitch, take your ass to the pool, to the lake, see all these half-ass naked men out there, and get you a cute outfit. Ooh, come on.
Listen, there's a whole bunch of people in Atlanta that ain't got no debt. So
look, okay, for more house, okay, look, they looking for you, girl. They looking for you. Yes,
I know that's right. Ooh, Jesus, it is the summertime.
Hey, look, that's another way.
I will be a wingman, wing woman, all you need.
With you.
Help.
Like, oh, that one? Be right back. I got you.
Be right back.
Yes.
Like,
this is the perfect time. This is the perfect time because everyone's out. I mean, and ironically enough, it is breakup season. So, I mean, these are things that happen right before summer. So, you
need to figure that lease situation out. So,
so Stella can get her groove back. Get your groove back, girl.
And swing from the chandelier.
Yes.
Oh, man. I love it. So,
Speaking of Obey Your Thirst, though, a little follow-up to the Ask Your Auntie that we had, a few episodes ago. We did get a follow-up.
Remind us, which one was this?
So this was the Ask Your Auntie about what to do about a breakup when you're two months into your lease, how to move on from that. So turns out that he was already seeing someone before.
Shut up.
They had broken up. And she had straight up asked him before they broke up, and he had lied about it. So it turns out that she found out and went up to his job and acted a fool. And let me tell you, I co-signed all of it.
My mouth is agape right now. I'm sorry, I got quiet.
Yes. See?
Oh, wow. Wait, so she had... wait, hold on.
She knew.
Back it up.
Yeah.
She knew.
She had a feeling.
But then he lied about it, and then come to find out, it was true.
It was true.
Shut up. Whoa.
Right.
And she went up to the job?
Yep, went up to the job.
Angela Bassett?
Angela Bassett, I was just about to say it. Look, let me tell you. And, to the community, a lesson to be taken out of this is to listen to your gut, listen to your intuition. Now it may not be always right, but
it's on the verge. And you have to make sure that you keep questioning whatever it is that your intuition is telling you to question. Keep questioning it, and then if you're wrong, then you have to just understand that you're wrong and you have to let it go. But if you're right and it's still happening, believe it. And if it's right, don't sign no damn lease.
Don't sign no damn lease. Don't do it. Don't do it. But you know what? Shout out to her because, guess what happened afterwards? She got a new job. She got a new place. Like, the glow up has been great. So, you know what?
And that's
God works. That was God letting you know.
That's God letting you know.
The universe.
Exactly. Like, let it go and watch what I got for you.
Right.
That's what that lesson is. Okay. Wow, that's messy as hell, though.
Messy, but I'm just
She said I went up to the job.
Yes.
What made her go up to the job?
I don't know what made her go up to the job, but that's how she found out because they were together on his lunch at the job.
That's a mess.
I'll bust the windows
out your car.
Boom, boom.
Hey.
Come on, Jasmine.
Yes.
Wow. Well, thank you for that extra update on
shout out to her, though. And, like I told you, girl, it is the summer. Live your best life. Get you a cute swimsuit. Find you a pool to lay because they out. And it breakup season just happened. So look, there are other people in the same boat. Look, there's a lot of cuddle buddies out there waiting for. It may be too hot to be cuddling. So you just might have to, smash and dash.
You don't need a cuddle buddy. You need
a
cuddy buddy.
Look,
y'all remember cuddy buddy?
Hey.
Oh, sorry.
But yeah,
everything resorts back to music. Woo. That was crazy. That was
messy.
She don't
messy.
Went to the job.
What a way to get your morning started.
Woo. She went up to the job.
Look,
right.
Okay. I mean, I don't blame her.
I'm not here to play games.
Look, yeah.
She said, I said what I said.
Right. And I did what I did.
But she had the ultimate glow up at the end, though. So
that's true.
Yeah.
Came out of it.
New job, new house, new man, new everything, girl. So,
but you done taught us all. Don't sign no damn lease with no significant other unless you know it's for sure.
Okay.
If you got any gut reaction before you put that pen to ink or the ink to pad or whatever they say, don't sign that lease.
Look, the year just started. Don't start it on no mess.
We got new goals in 2020.
Okay. Yeah, Devon, what was yours?
Okay, so talking about making rash decisions. And speaking of nether regions, this one is all about being dickmatized.
So here's your favorite part of the show. All the time it seems to be. And what is it? It's Ask Yo Aunties. Oh man, who's gonna read it this week for us? Who got it up?
Oh, I can read it. I can read her. All the time. Okay, so this question is from Drew. Okay, Drew from Minneapolis, and she goes, "Aunties, I have a ask you, aunties. I read a quote yesterday that shook me to my core. Good dick from the wrong guy will fuck you up."
Ooh.
Now, my question is, what if you were so dickmatized by the wrong guy, you let the right guy leave, and now they are engaged to someone else? Auntie, what y'all got?
Good dick from the wrong guy will fuck you up. That is a quote. Because we all been there, done that, sucked on it, and moved on.
She said sucked on and moved on.
I'm sorry. You know what, Mom? If you're listening, oh Jesus.
But I mean, if it's
Lord
good dick, are you moving
Fast
on?
forward.
If it's good dick, are you moving on though?
I'm moving on. Come on, Maya.
Honestly, like the I don't know. Like it feels like the bottom line of it is, what do you want? Like, what do you really, really want? Because some people think they want a relationship. They think they want, the man that got away, but really what they want is they want to keep on doing what they're doing. So if you're that dickmatized, clearly what you want
is dick.
See,
I'm different though. I'm different. I don't think that
clearly
way.
what you want is dick.
I mean,
we've all had good sex and we've had bad sex. Okay.
Yes.
So, like, I understand that mind-blowing sex can be on your mind to the point, like, even if you're just, like, relieving yourself, you might think about those experiences.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, so, like, good dick is a real thing. Okay. It is a real thing. And
no arguments there.
And you can definitely be confused by dick because of the joy and the pleasure that it brings. You most certainly can. You most certainly can.
Oh, okay.
Now, how you
and
can...
for all the tops out there saying, "Oh no," but good dick and ass, like just good sex all together. Lump that into one sum. If you're like, oh, I'm total top ball humbug. Okay, mask. Whatever, get that out.
I mean, I guess it's the
But
same as a
all
good
the
booty
above.
hole. It's the same as a good hole.
Right, exactly. All lumped into one thing. When you just had something that was so good that you like, woo.
Good sex. It's good
Even
sex.
when
I mean,
it's-
we have a lot of female listeners, and
Exactly.
so
Right.
Good
it's not
sex.
just
Yeah,
like
it's
the gay
good
thing.
vag,
it's
good
good
titties,
sex.
good whatever.
It's good sex.
All the above.
But I don't know. Like, I just, this is why I made this maybe TMI. But I'm gonna put this out there. When I date, I'm not sexual with the person that I date until after we're in a relationship because I like to have a foundation. Physic and I, we went 6 months. We didn't do any of that until 6 months after being in a relationship. You know, like, because we wanted a foundation of us, and we wanted clarity as far as who the individual was and what we were bringing to the table, and that we loved each other on something more than just something physical, because
Right.
that's the stuff that lasts, you know?
No, I agree.
And so I think you have to prioritize what you want out of life. Like you guys were just saying, like you just want dick. I think you just need to make sure that you're smarter going into any situation, whether it's and that isn't even just a hookup, but maybe you just take that off the table and you just go as far as who are you and what you want out of life. And you make sure it's prioritized as far as what your end game is, because
Right.
the instant satisfaction may not be as great as the end goal.
That's true. And that's why a lot of people tell you to wait till marriage. And that's why I think a lot of that obviously comes from the Bible too. But
Yeah, they
that's
do
why
say
a lot
wait
of-
till marriage. Absolutely.
That's why a lot of old school folks say to wait, because they know that a lot of people are not emotionally intelligent enough and mature enough to handle the situation. If you get into this good sex situation where the person, yes, they might be bringing you gratification sexually, but they might be abusing you emotionally, or they're not ready to be in a relationship, et cetera, et cetera. So that's why a lot of times people tell you to wait, because a lot of time, and a lot of us aren't mature enough sexually to know what to do in these situations. That ends up being a good situation for yourself personally. But I mean, we've been there, and you got to learn. You got to get through it, and also learn that it's not just about that, especially once you get into long-term relationships, because it spends years with a human being. Sometimes that good dick might be the only thing that's keeping you staying, and you're just wasting years of your life, honestly. You know? And that's not good either. There's other dick in the sea.
Yeah, but all dick ain't goat dick, though. Just be careful.
That's true, too. That is true, too,
Some
though.
are poisonous.
I kind of read this as a scenario where, like, you know, you're out there living your life, doing whatever, and, you know, you're not ready for anything serious. And it's not to say it has to be a relationship or whatever, but, you know, you're just not ready for anything serious, something that could be a relationship. And then in the midst of you doing your thing, you realize what you want, and you've had it with that person, and that person, you know, you kind of like, we've all been there. You reach out to them, you send them a text message like, hey, what's up? How are you? And they're like, oh, life is good. I'm in a relationship now. You're like, you do a double take, like, oh, damn, I really missed out. I missed out. I don't know. We can all relate to that situation. And it doesn't necessarily mean like you know, are, you know, there's anything wrong with like being promiscuous or, you know, just having sex or living your life and having a good time, whatever. And there's nothing wrong with being dickmatized. But I do feel like if you were really ready for that person, they would not have gotten away. You know what I mean? So, and something else can be true. Maybe they got away so that you could learn a lesson. So, you know, I look at it as two different ways. You know, maybe you weren't ready. It's a situation where you just weren't ready for that person, you know, but maybe at the same time, you needed that person to get away from you, or something that you think was good for you, get away from you, so that it helps you kind of like zero in on what's really important for you.
So can we ask the second part to this question then?
What's the second part of this question?
Which is, should I have to compromise with what I want out of life with what I want in the bedroom? Is it possible to find both?
Yes, absolutely. I think it is. And I think that just goes back to that emotional maturity as well. Sometimes you have to be mature enough and know exactly what you want out of life to attract that. And if you're only looking for good dick and ass, that's all you're going to get. And you're not going to get the full picture. You're not going to get the whole being. But if you literally put it out there that that's what you want, it's just a law of attraction. Like, I know people say that and it sounds so easy, and it's not. But I think you need to find that emotional and sexual maturity in a human being, or it's just not going to work and you're not going to be as satisfied as you want to be.
I'm struggling a little bit with some of the words that are being used. Like, I'm struggling with the word compromise. Like, because it can mean a person thinking about their making compromises could be, truly that they are acquiescing. They're giving up something that is really important for them, like, a certain kind of sexual preference
or position.
Or position, or or location, or whatever it is, they're giving that up because that's not something that is a preference of their partner, and so that in that way that's a compromise. But in some ways, you can be giving something up that is extremely important to you, for the sake of the other person, and that's acquiescing. Like, that's giving up, that's giving over, and I don't know. I struggle a little bit with that term. Because I don't think, let me put it this way. I think people should be open to the idea that they and their preferences and their ideals have the opportunity to grow over time. And sometimes growth means experiencing something that is out of the norm for you, and it challenges you. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to adopt whatever that new thing is, but it gives you a different perspective that allows you to grow as a human being and as a sexual being. So the idea of a compromise, to me, is problematic as a word because it doesn't really capture like what I think a lot of people think of when they think of compromise. And it's really like, I like having sex doggy style all the time, and he likes to do it missionary. And so do I have to do it missionary all the time because that's what he wants?
Right.
Versus a true compromise is sometimes we do it doggy style, sometimes we do it missionary.
Sometimes we do it in the morning, sometimes we do it at night.
Exactly. That's compromise, right? Because it's a conversation, right, and it's about give and take. Versus me giving up something that is really important for me.
But it's just interesting the engage with somebody else part of that first question. It's just like, ooh, you just probably feel like, damn, I ain't gonna get that good dick or ass no more.
I don't know, like I don't know. For me,
it's like I just want it one more time, just one more time.
Yes.
I don't know. For me, I think you might have to compromise and you might have to settle for one than the other. Because sometimes the person that you think that's perfect for you may not actually be perfect for you. They may appear to you in a way that you actually need, and you just don't know it. And so you have to adjust and learn to grow to get what you actually need, because there's a lesson within a lesson. So I wouldn't say necessarily it's about compromise. It's about learning, are your priorities necessarily in line? Do you know what you actually want? Or is what you want actually what's best for you? Or are you being selfish and you just want what's shiny and new and afraid to do the work?
Exactly. And that's what goes back to when I was just saying, like, you need to know honestly to your deepest core what you want and what you need that's literally going to allow you to grow and be your best self. That's ultimately what you want.
Yeah.
Like, and if the Dickmatized happens to be on a human being that allows you to grow in other ways as well, that's what everyone's looking for. Everybody's looking for that unicorn, honestly, And I would say keep looking until you find that unicorn.
Yeah.
Honestly. And don't be afraid and ashamed, especially as one gets older. People feel this societal pressure to fit this norm of, oh, you graduate college, you get a job, you get married, you have your kids, this and this and this and this. And if you're getting older and you're not there yet, you feel this pressure that, oh, I haven't done what everyone else has done. Everyone else's race is not your race, boo.
Mm-hmm.
You say
Yeah.
you don't see Usain Bolt.
Can you
run
just
a
say
marathon.
that? Can you say that again?
Yeah, go ahead.
Your
Can you
race is
just
not
say that
everybody else's
again?
race. Your race is not everybody else's race at all.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see Usain Bolt running marathons, and it doesn't mean that he's not a good runner. You know,
He's just a
great at
different
what
type
he
of
his
good
race.
runner. He's just yeah.
I feel like there's so much pressure for people in general, regardless of your sexual orientation. There's so much pressure for people to be in a relationship. And the reality of it is that most of us, and I include myself in this group, most of us don't even know who we are to know enough to know what we want and to be able to give enough out of ourselves so that it helps support and you're bringing someone and enable and encourage and motivate someone else and build something with someone else. You know, so like this idea that we should all be chasing after relationships as like that's the gold standard, you know, for a happy life is a complete misnomer. It's fabricated. It's not true. It's not necessarily true for everyone. And that brings so much pressure and anxiety and frustration and confusion to so many people because they think that they need to be aspiring to that thing. And then they end up feeling bad. We end up feeling bad because our behavior is not matching up to. We're out there having our good, you know, our hot girl summers, our hot boy summers. We're having our hot boy decades. You know, we're out there doing the things that we want to do, but then we're also like fighting off the guilt that we aren't, you know, like aspiring to be like cuffed up in a relationship. And yes, you know, like I'm in a relationship. The aunties are in relationships, you know, but it doesn't mean that we don't understand that frustration that people feel, like that balance of like, you know, why do I feel guilty for just, I'm being single and mingling and, you know, being experimental or whatever it is that I'm doing. Like, why do I have to feel guilty for that? And I think what I'm trying to say is you shouldn't feel guilty. If you do, that's more a reflection of society's pressures on you more so than your own behaviors. And, you know, if you're in a spirit of compromises or giving up something for, you know, the sake of a relationship, you really have to ask yourself the question of, what is it that you really want to do? And, you know, we're talking about the whole idea of like, you know, Jonathan Van Ness and like these people that are living their truth. Are you living your truth? If you really don't want that, then don't go after it. Continue to live your hot boy summer. But if you want
But see, sometimes it's not necessarily about living your truth. It's also sometimes about just the lack of knowledge. So for instance, the example that I'm going to use right now is one of our earlier episodes. We talked about cancel culture. And y'all know I was the queen of black and white.
Cancel.
But did you see? I just
What
gave
was your
an answer.
hashtag?
But I just
Never let
gave
it
an
go.
answer. I just gave an answer about prioritizing and self-checking and digging within. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like sometimes you don't know that your way of thinking isn't necessarily positive or healthy for you.
That's true,
So it does take having those conversations or at least surrounding yourself around those that make your ears perk up and be like, maybe there is something more to it than I thought I knew. Because if we were having this same question beforehand about compromise, I would be like, oh, if that's not what you want, then don't leave
You
it
sure
and go
would've.
for something else.
Come on, Jarrell, with the
that
growth.
literally
Come
would
on,
have been my
girl.
answer. It would have been like, if you ain't happy, then go find something that's better.
You sure would've.
But now I can see that sometimes you may not know what you want, and you may have to dig a little deeper to actually find the root to your own happiness, you know?
And that is going to take time too, that you're not going to get everything instantaneously. So it's okay to grow and evolve over time and be fine and comfortable with that. Because I think a lot of times people get scared of that, that you might not be the same today or you might not be the same tomorrow as you are today. And that's fine. Whatever evolution it is. And if it was one dick that got you dickmatized yesterday, there's going to be another one that gets you dickmatized tomorrow. You see how I moved it back around. Come on now.
This is true. And I'm just saying, Auntie Hennessy over here is a living example of growth on this podcast. So y'all better keep listening because, you know, my ratchet loudmouth ass, I'm like, oh, look at me being all thoughtful and stuff. I went from having like 3 emotions to now I got 7 emotions. Like,
Exactly.
you learned some stuff on here.
She's grown.
Your auntie's got some stuff, and Auntie Hennessy's over here learning too. So I encourage y'all to learn
day,
too.
every day.
Mm-hmm. Look, the grass is greener where I'm at now.
I know that's right. It's greener when you water that bitch. Come on now.
It's greener. It's great right now.
Come on, Tony the Tiger.
Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm.
I know that's right.
Frosted
Like, I'm getting married, so that's why I married my boo. So I enjoy it thoroughly.
More than good. They're great.
See.
Oh, so thank you for that question. We enjoyed that. We love these little juicier ones. And I put it up on Insta story. Send us some juicy ones. We like the juicy ones too. It doesn't always have to be heavy. Even though we enjoy the heavies as well. And we got some heavy ones coming up. Woo, that we got to mentally prepare ourselves for.
Right, exactly.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah.
You know what? I feel like that's somebody's New Year's resolution out there somewhere. It's to not get dickmatized.
Biggie, can't you see? I ain't gonna get dickmatized no more. That didn't rhyme, but oh well.
But I mean, if at the end of the day you're dickmatized, what is it that you want? Dick.
That was the line of the whole segment. Oh, Jesus.
Ain't no shame in that game.
Hey, there's some good ones out there, but be emotionally mature enough.
What about you, Auntie Hennessy?
Oh, Lord. So mine's was during the Market Days episode where the question was about, one partner preferred to have sex during the day and the other person preferred to have sex at night. And I was a little confused about the question at first, so y'all just take a listen.
You came through.
She did.
You had a revelation.
Right.
It took her a minute, if y'all will remember.
Okay, so we got a juicy Ask Your Aunties question this week, and I'm ready for it. So I guess I'll pull it up here.
You want to do it?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Okay.
It's anonymous. So it says, I have a sex question. My boyfriend prefers sex right before bed, but I prefer it first thing in the morning. It's nearly impossible for us to do nooners, so sometimes we go days without sex. When we talk about it, I feel like I'm always giving in and having sex at night, but it's never the other way around. I know sex isn't everything in a relationship, and we've been together for a few years, so it's not a deal breaker. Would love your advice on how we bridge this gap and get both of our sexual needs met.
Mother Dewan, I'm going to let you take this one.
I'm just relating because I can understand.
I think we've all been there, yes.
Like, I can understand, like, there's just certain people that can have sex anytime, and then there's certain people that prefer to have it at a certain time of the day. Like, they're always, they're horny in the morning, or they're horny at night, or whatever. I'm gonna have to think on this for a little bit. I feel what I'm reacting to is less on the logistics of like when, and more on the conversation, because what I heard was when, and I'm going to paraphrase because, she got a bad memory. What I remember hearing was, when I talk about it, or when they talk about it, they always feel like they're the ones that's giving in. So they're the ones that's doing it on the opposite time of when they are ready to do it, or when they want to do it.
When we talk about it, I feel like I'm always giving in and having sex at night, but it's never the other way around.
Yeah, and I feel like this is a communication issue that a lot of, whether you're gay or straight, it doesn't even matter. I guess I'm assuming that this is gay.
I'm assuming it's straight.
Yeah, I don't know. You think it's straight?
It's anonymous.
I mean, if you waking up and having sex, some people like it messy, some people don't. I'm a neat freak, so I need to, invest into some preparation beforehand. So ain't nothing happening right when I wake up in the morning. So,
Miss Jarrell went right for the logistics.
Right,
I sure did.
She said, let's get it started.
She said, let's break this all the way down.
She said, first you wash your ass.
She said nothing going down at first thing in the morning.
She said, "This is not a communication issue. This is a
bodily issue."
Right, exactly. That's when it's gonna happen.
Oh, that's funny.
I mean, I guess my question is like the real question for this person, since it's different for different people. I guess like, what's the difference between how it feels in the morning versus how it feels at night? Are you more loose at night? Are you more tight in the morning? I mean, I don't know. Like, are you more awake? Like, are you in a daze when you wake up? So your mind's like, oh yeah, where am I? Like, or like, what's happening? I'm very curious as to what's the difference between in the morning and at night. And this is no shade.
In community, that's why we call Auntie Jarrell Auntie Hennessy.
No, this is no shade. In my mind, I'm trying to wrap how it's different. So if it's different,
in your mind, you're like, just go and get it when you can get it.
I mean, in my mind, a hole's a hole. So like, like it's just like,
and
like, I'm just trying to figure out, like,
we lost Corral.
She said a hole is a hole. Oh man, okay. I'm sorry. We tried to take this seriously, but this is kind of funny.
But I was like, no, because like I've been in relationships too where like the different sex, like how often you had sex was not on the same page. Okay,
yes.
But it was never like as far as the time of day, if that makes sense.
Right.
It was just more so of like how often you're doing it during the week. It wasn't about how often you had to prep or how often you didn't. It was just more so about doing it more in the week, not the time of day. So in my mind, I am struggling because this is new material to me. I'm learning something at 31. So someone teach me. I can't help this person.
I just have a question though. Hold on one second, because like I'm trying to. Okay, so for sex with women, is there as much prep involved as there is? Because I think that's a valid question, right? Because, and I don't know, I mean, for the straight people, or at least for the women that are out there, you might not realize, but
you don't realize how gay we really are.
there's quite a bit of preparation that is, I won't say required, but that is preferred.
I mean, I take my fiber pills on a daily basis, bitch. That's all I'm saying. Like,
she have said, them solid. No solid as
I am your captain now.
Oh, but no, I get this question because between Corey and I, Corey likes it more in the morning and I like it more at night. And when you ask the question, is there a difference in the time? I don't know, not really. But for me, especially trying to wake up, go to work and everything, I value my sleep up to the second I need to get up, run my ass in the shower and run in. So a lot of times in the morning, I'm not even thinking that way. I'm literally thinking, I'm
convenience
running out
for
of
you
time.
as far as what you got to do for your day. Like,
exactly. Like, so my mind is not even in thinking about sex right then. It's like, shit, I'm already running late. I need to get to work because I got a meeting at 8:30, So my mind's already gone for the day instead of being in that moment.
Yeah, and maybe you're just tired. For people who like in the morning, maybe they're tired at the end of the day, so they just don't like doing it at night.
Right.
And maybe
that's me. That's more of me. Like I by the time I'm ready, I'm getting in the bed.
I did not take that question that way. My mind did not grasp any of that. I was literally like I was like, what?
She was thinking about what kind of sheets are on the bed.
Right. I'm like, how was it like? Is this a seasonal thing too? Like, like in the fall, does it have to be at 8 p.m.? Does it have to be before sunset? Like, I'm literally like in my mind, I'm trying to break this, but when you break it down like that, doing a person's day, some people might feel more energized in the morning.
Even as tired as I am at night, that's just even a nice little nightcap. I'm like, okay, I'm already tired. Let's get it in and knock my ass out, And so that's my thought process, at least during it. The time frame, no, it's going to feel the same when it feels the same. But a lot of times it's almost mentally where you're at that certain time of the day. But how do you compromise on that? I think you simply got to be like, okay, you know what? The last couple times we did it in the morning, let's do it at night. And I guarantee you, the second you rile that person up, you're not going to really care about the time of day. So maybe just simply rile your partner up, your boyfriend, girlfriend, whomever it is, up at the time of day that you want. Or if you know you want it at night, start sending maybe a little message on your way home, like you're leaving the office, be like, hey, boo, I'm on my way. Send a little dirty message. That way it starts to get your mind in that frame, and you're not even thinking about daytime versus nighttime versus nooners, et cetera, et cetera.
I'm just going to put it out there, Anonymous. We need more information. I mean, there was a whole paragraph, Jarrell, that you read. And I mean,
and it's non-binary.
Right, exactly. Like, I'm struggling a little bit with is it a timing issue or is it a communication issue? What I will say is that I think if you're feeling like you have made compromises and your needs are not being met, then you guys just need to figure out a way to articulate what your needs are, and might not mean that in that same conversation you're coming to an agreement on, okay, what do we do? But maybe it's more just to plant the seed, like, okay, here's the things that I'm feeling. I know that this is not a deal breaker for me, but there is an element of sexual frustration I'm feeling.
Right.
And, I know that it might not always be possible to do it in the morning every single day, but I just want to put that bug in your ear because this is really, that's important to me. And, maybe we can kind of figure out how to make it work.
And relationships are give and take. And so I think there is no answer as far as like, well, how do you get your way more, or how to, to do more for you just kind of have to be in that mind space where you just come from a place of love, where you just love that person enough to just do something that makes them happy. And then also hope that your partner in return would do for you in return because they love you and want to see you happy. A lot of people get caught up in this whole like, well, I do for you and I keep doing for you, but you're not doing for me. Well, you have to have those tough conversations with your partner to be like, hey, I need more from you. But one other thing I was going to say, if you ain't about that, I mean, whoever's doing the most work should probably get their way more. Just saying. So, like...
Well, what if you're versed?
Between the lines.
Well, then if
who's ever doing the most work that night?
Then you better get your calendar out, and it's every other time.
Flip a coin.
Exactly. If you're versed, like, okay, well then, you know what? This night, since you like it at night, then cool.
Right.
Then the next day it's me.
Get a little flip action going. Okay, maybe we get in a TMI zone. My bad, y'all.
And maybe that's why, because maybe it'd be too long. So maybe that's why it can't be at nighttime. Because if you verse,
that's true too.
Ooh, honey child, girl, you can.
That's a lot of work.
There'll be some times you're like, okay, where's the wrap it up box?
Look, okay.
I'm tired as hell.
And then you got to make the bed again. You got to take all the sheets off.
Like, bitch, did you just take a sip of water? Did you just hydrate yourself? Oh no! See, now you playing. Get on my sandbox.
And it always ends up like we on my side of the bed, and I'm a sweater, and I be getting mad. I be like, let's mess up your side of the bed, boo. Like, come on now. Like, shit. Shit. Come on. Oh, TMI. But anyway, thank you for that question, whoever sent it. Hopefully we helped you a little bit. I don't know.
Send the part 2 question. Send the part 2 question.
The follow-up question
with some more details. So if we didn't answer your question, we give us some more context to it, so that way we can
and photographs if that's possible.
Ooh, okay. He said
send it to them.
Videos.
Send it to them. I like my
just
home.
Cut your head out.
My home ain't ready for that.
We don't need to see your head. We don't need to know the face. Oh, Lord. But ultimately, it sounds like it's communication. Communicate how you feel, and hopefully your partner cares enough to compromise a little bit. So we'll see. But we want to follow up on that. Whoever sent us this, we need a follow up
for sure.
of how the conversation went.
That was a great question. I ain't gonna lie, I like that question. Come on, community, y'all good questions. That was good.
Oh, they be sending it in.
Yes. I'm saying, damn.
And if y'all gonna send us a sex question, because didn't it start out with I have a sex question?
It sure did.
Like, I thought it was going to be hotter than that.
Like, what question did you want her to ask or him to ask?
I have a communication question about sex. She tricked us.
Oh, Lord. But we did learn from Jarrell that a hole is a hole.
Now y'all know our slogans for our new MinoriTeas.
It's like our new
I
line
feel
of
so
teas.
bad. I honestly, like, my mind did not go to the whole, like, being tired or just being more energetic, or, like, my mind was literally like, what's different about the PM than the AM? I could not, for the hell of me, just grasp that simple concept. Girl.
That's too funny. Too funny.
Ooh, yeah. So, like I said, I was like, what's the difference between having sex in the morning and then at night? A hole's a hole. You know,
A hole is a hole.
I don't know. Yeah, I was so confused by it at first. But, you know, your aunties over there had to bring her together, you know.
We had to break it down.
They helped me land the plane. I land the plane eventually.
Yes.
But yes, hopefully you guys like this episode of getting reacquainted with some of these Ask Your Aunties. Continue to send in your Ask Your Aunties. We love these questions that you come in. They get deep. They get hard. No puns intended. But we enjoy answering these questions.
Not at night, they don't.
And the updates. So if you had an Ask Your Auntie question that was answered on the air, even if it was anonymous, send us your updates.
Why you gotta be anonymous? Remember that song? Damn, that was a throwback.
That was a real throwback.
Anyway.
My goodness.
But we will be back with a brand spanking new episode next week. I know you're probably missing us a little bit. We miss each other, but we just had to take a little break for the holiday season. And but we'll come back because we got a lot to talk about, I'm sure, by this point. Mm-hmm. So thank you for sharing the new year with us, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.